The simplest but most effective strategy that I've ever found for reducing procrastination and actually taking action, doing the task you want to, is the 1 minute rule. And really, it can be summed up as just starting. But obviously, that's, easier said than done. If you were procrastinating, obviously, you're not going to be able to just start because you would already tried that. But there is actually a really specific way to just start that does work really, really well that I use myself. Probably one of the strategies for reducing procrastination I use the most, and it really does work really well. It's super simple, which adds to how well it does work. And basically, the idea is that to stop procrastinating, you just need to start the task. That's the main thing you're actually trying to do. That's what procrastination means, is just not starting or not doing the task. And so really, all a procrastination reduction strategy should achieve is just getting you to start the task. And so the 1 minute rule is basically just one strategy to actually do that. And the way you do it is by just doing the first minute of a task. Or what I like to do personally is finding the first smallest possible action or step you can take of the task and then just committing to doing that. And an example that can be quite useful to just sort of contextualize this a bit is if you had to write an essay for whatever it is. And obviously, writing an essay is quite a big task. Maybe it'll take you multiple hours, days, weeks, whatever. But to just start and stop procrastinating it, you could commit to only the smallest possible starting action, which might just be creating a new document and then naming it, or just writing the date and the name of the essay. You're not actually getting the task done, obviously, but you're starting it. And this is insanely powerful because the hardest part about stopping procrastination for a lot of people isn't doing the task once you get started, it's just starting in the first place. And there's actually a really good explanation for it, which basically is momentum and inertia. Because when you're not doing anything, it's quite difficult to get yourself to then do something else. You're changing a lot, you have to put a lot of effort in. But when you're actually doing the task, it's a lot easier to just continue because you don't have to change anything. You can just keep going. And this is actually explained in physics as well. It's one of Newton's laws of motion that an object in motion will stay in motion unless acted upon by an external force, or one not in motion won't move if nothing happens, right? And so it applies to productivity as well. If you're doing a task, you're going to keep doing the task unless something happens. So unless you get distracted, unless a thought comes up, unless another task appears, unless a notification, you hear that, whatever. But when you're not doing the task, you're going to keep not doing the task unless you actually choose to start, unless you take action, unless something reminds you to. And that's why this strategy of the 1 minute rule, or doing the smallest possible starting action and committing to it, making the conscious choice to do it, is such a useful strategy for reducing procrastination. And that is basically all I have to say. The strategy is really simple, but it works really, really well. And so I highly recommend you test it out, today or at any point when you actually are procrastinating. Because once you do start, you'll realize that you probably just say, I'll just do the next small step and then the next one. And eventually you'll get to the point where after like 10, 15, 20 minutes, you feel fine and the task actually feels a lot easier than you thought, because a lot of the time we make tasks seem way more difficult in our minds than they actually are in reality, which is really interesting. But using the strategy can help to reduce that. And if you do actually want some more advice about procrastination in a bit more detail and some other productivity related advice, tools, trackers, how to build habits, all the stuff in a bit more detail, there's actually a link in the description for my free community with a free course that goes over all that in a bit more detail. Obviously, no pressure if you don't want to join or click the link, that's completely fine. And have an amazing rest of your day.